I never thought my life would turn into a war over a lawn. It started with a bright yellow envelope taped to my front door. Notice a violation. It screamed in all caps. Apparently, my lawn was too green. I stood on the porch barefoot, holding the letter, staring at my yard. The grass looked perfect to me. Thick, healthy lush. I'd been proud of it. I had spent hours every week mowing, watering, and caring for it. And now the HOA was fining me for, what? Being a good homeowner? The notice said I had 10 days to remediate the unnatural appearance of the turf, or face a $100 daily fine. Unnatural appearance. Are they insane? I stormed back into the house. Tom! I called to my husband. He was in the kitchen, scrolling on his phone. He barely looked up. Yeah, they fined us for the lawn. He finally glanced up, frowning. What do you mean? I tossed the paper on the counter. Apparently it's too green. Too green, Tom. What the hell does that even mean? He picked up the notice, read it slowly and shrugged. Maybe they're just trying to keep everything uniform. You know how Linda is about the neighborhood. Linda, the HOA president, queen of our little suburban dictatorship. I felt heat rising in my face. This is ridiculous. Everyone else's yard looks like a patchy football field, and I'm the one getting punished for taking care of mine. Tom put his phone down and sighed. Don't make this a big deal, Sarah. Just let it go. Mow it shorter. Stop watering it so much. Make them happy. Make them happy. The word stung. It wasn't about grass anymore. It was about being told to shrink myself to fit into someone else's box. I didn't mow the lawn. 3 days later, a second notice arrived, this one with a fine attached. $300, and a line in bold. Failure to comply will result in escalation to legal action. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, thinking about the envelope, about Linda's smug face at the last HOA meeting, about Tom's casual dismissal of my anger. Something felt off. The next morning, as I drove past Linda's house on my way to work, I noticed Tom's truck parked 2 houses down. My stomach sank. The next week was hell. Every morning, another yellow envelope waited on my door. The fines were stacking up like unpaid parking tickets. $400, $500, $700. Linda even started sending me emails. Sarah, the HOA board is very concerned about your lack of compliance. This is your final opportunity to correct the violation voluntarily. Voluntarily. Like I had a choice. I tried to call the HOA office, but the office was just Linda's personal voicemail. She never called me back. By the 5th notice, my mailbox was practically glowing. I started watching my neighbors through the blinds at night. Most of them avoided eye contact when I saw them outside. I could feel it, whispers, gossip. In a neighborhood this small, everybody knows everybody's business. And then came the knock on the door. A man in a polo shirt with the HOA logo stood there with a clipboard. Mrs. Collins? Yes, I said, my heart racing. I'm here to perform a compliance inspection. Are you serious? He didn't even flinch. We have to document the violation formally. May I? I stepped aside. He walked around my property, snapping photos of my lawn like it was a crime scene. By the time he left, my hands were shaking. That night, Tom came home late. He smelled like cologne, not the one he usually wore. Where were you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Meeting, he said casually, tossing his keys on the counter. Meeting about what? HOA stuff, he said. Linda asked me to sit in. They're trying to work with you, you know. You should really just do what they say. I stared at him. Since when do you go to HOA meetings? He shrugged. Just trying to keep the peace, Sarah. You're stressing everyone out. I wanted to scream. Instead, I went upstairs and locked the bedroom door. At 2 a.m, I checked Tom's phone while he slept. There it was. Text messages. From Linda. Linda, thanks for tonight. You always know how to calm me down, winking face. Tom, anything for you. She won't be a problem much longer. My hands went cold. I didn't sleep after reading those messages. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding. By morning, my anger had crystallized into something sharp and cold. Fine. If Linda wanted a war, I'd give her one. The first thing I did was buy cameras. Tiny Wi-Fi ones that I could hide near the porch and inside the living room. I wanted to know who was coming and going while I wasn't home, and what Tom was doing when I wasn't looking. Then I filed a formal request for HOA board meeting minutes and financial records. According to state law, they had to provide them within 10 business days. I knew Linda wouldn't like it, which made me smile for the first time in days. The fines kept coming. By now, we owed almost $3,000, at least according to their ledger. One evening, I caught Tom on the back patio talking on the phone. He didn't know I was recording from the upstairs window. "No, she still hasn't changed the lawn," he was saying. "Yeah, I'll talk to her again. Don't worry, we'll handle it." A pause. Then he laughed, that quiet, intimate laugh he used to save for me. I gripped the windowsill so hard my fingers hurt. The next day, I confronted him. "You've been talking to Linda," I said. He blinked, surprised but not guilty enough. "She's the HOA president, Sarah. Of course I've been talking to her. Not like this." I threw the printouts of their texts on the table. His face went pale. "You went through my phone," he said, as if I were the one on trial. "I went through your phone because you're betraying me in my own house." For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then he sighed. "Sarah, this is getting out of control. You're making everything worse. Linda's just trying to keep the neighborhood in order." "Oh, spare me the speech. You think I'm blind? You think I don't see what's going on?" He didn't answer, and that silence was worse than any confession. That night, I didn't cry. I planned. I compiled every letter, every fine, every photo of my violations. I printed out their bylaws, highlighted every clause they were breaking. No quorum, no proper vote, no documentation. And then I waited for the perfect moment to strike. By the end of the month, I was drowning in threats. A certified letter arrived, stamped with red ink. Final notice, legal action pending. They were going to put a lien on my house. My house. I sat on the kitchen floor with the letter in my lap, feeling my chest tighten. They weren't just trying to find me, they were trying to take everything. The cameras I'd installed were paying off. Every few days, Linda would stroll by, pretending to walk her dog, stopping just long enough to glare at my yard. Once, she even took a photo of my front porch, like she was building a case file against me. I started saving every clip, but the worst part wasn't Linda, it was the neighbors. The Johnsons stopped waving when they drove by. The couple next door pulled their kids inside whenever I came outside. At the grocery store, I overheard someone whisper, "That's her, the one fighting the HOA." I was becoming the neighborhood villain. One Friday night, Tom didn't come home until midnight. When he finally stumbled in, his shirt half untucked, I asked, "Were you with her?" He didn't answer, which told me everything. "You know what?" I said, my voice shaking, but not from fear. "I hope you two are happy, because when this is over, you're both going to regret underestimating me." He rolled his eyes and went upstairs. The next morning, I got an email from Linda. Subject, urgent board decision. Body, due to repeated non-compliance, the HOA will be scheduling a special meeting to vote on escalating enforcement. Attendance is mandatory. Perfect. I circled the date on the calendar. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. If they wanted a showdown, I was going to bring the fire. I took a day off work and spent it digging. Every letter, every fine, every email from Linda went into a fat binder. I printed screenshots of Tom's texts. I highlighted dates and times, building a timeline that showed exactly when the harassment started, right around the time Linda started texting my husband at 11 p.m. Then I went door to door. Most of the neighbors were hesitant at first, but once I showed them the documents, a few of them cracked. "You know," said Mrs. Johnson, lowering her voice, "Linda fined us for having our trash cans out for more than 24 hours. We were at a funeral." Another neighbor admitted Linda had forced them to remove their backyard swing set because it was too tall. It turned out I wasn't the only one she'd been bullying. I was just the loudest. By the end of the day, I had 4 neighbors willing to show up at the special meeting with me. And then I called a lawyer. "Sounds like a textbook case of HOA overreach," he said after I emailed him the binder. They don't have the authority to enforce half of what they're threatening you with. If they vote to escalate, we can hit them with a cease and desist and sue for damages. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with a glass of wine, looking at the mountain of evidence I'd built. Tom walked in, glanced at the papers, and frowned. "You're seriously going through with this?" I didn't even look up. Dead serious. He laughed under his breath like it was all a game. "You think you're going to beat Linda? She runs this neighborhood." I looked him in the eye. "Not after next week. She won't." For the first time, I saw fear in his face. The night of the special meeting, I wore my sharpest black blazer and tied my hair back. If they wanted a villain, I was going to give them one. The HOA clubhouse was packed. Neighbors, board members, Linda sitting at the head of the table like a queen. And, of course, Tom sitting next to her. I walked in with my binder under my arm and 4 neighbors behind me. "Sarah Collins," Linda said, her smile tight as a noose. "Thank you for finally showing up. Let's get this over with." "Oh, we'll get it over with," I said, taking a seat. Linda started droning about continued violations and neighborhood standards. I let her talk until she was mid-sentence, and then I opened my binder and slammed it on the table. "Actually," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, "what we need to get over with is your abuse of power." The room went silent. I started passing out copies, emails, letters, photos, minutes from meetings that were never properly recorded. "You've been issuing fines without quorum, without board approval, and without due process. That's illegal under state HOA law. And if you think I'm bluffing," I held up a letter from my lawyer. "Here's a cease and desist already drafted." Linda's face went red. "You can't just..." "Oh, I can," I cut her off. "And while we're here, let's talk about conflict of interest." I pulled out the printed texts between her and Tom and laid them on the table for everyone to see. Gasps rippled through the room. "Turns out," I said, my voice steady, "the HOA president has been sleeping with my husband while targeting my home with thousands of dollars in illegal fines. So maybe this isn't about neighborhood standards after all." Tom stood up. "Sarah." "Sit down," I said, ice in my voice. The neighbors were murmuring now, louder and louder. Mrs. Johnson stood up. "She fined us for our trash cans, too. We were grieving." Another neighbor. "She took down our swing set." The room turned into chaos, not against me, but against Linda. By the end of the night, the board voted to rescind every fine, issue me a written apology, and hold new election for HOA president. Linda stormed out before the vote was over. As for Tom, I packed his bags that night and left them on the porch. When he came home, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just handed him the divorce papers I'd already drafted. "You and Linda deserve each other," I said. "And I deserve peace." He didn't argue. A month later, Linda was out, the fines were gone, and my lawn was greener than ever. I sat on the porch with a glass of wine, looking at the grass that had started this war, and smiled. For the first time in weeks, I could finally breathe.